We might have some busted hopium or a league winner for the 2025 fantasy football season, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been stringing us along, and it might be ripping apart. And we're looking at Sean Tucker here, who went off last week as our potential candidate to be our league winner or be our league buster because he's got some big shoes to fill. We're going to deep dive this situation right now. We did it last week. We got to do it again because this might be a long-term thing, and he's hot right now. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing these deep dives every day on all these trending prospects, these players who are getting more workload. He's a starter now, but they were a bench player just last week, and you need to know more about that player, whether or not you want to stay away from them, start them, bench them, hoard them from everybody else, whatever you need to do or whatever you need to find out. That's my goal so you can make your decision. Click that subscribe button. Stop missing out. Our boy Ric Flair's watching. You don't want to disappoint Ric Flair. But Bucky Irving may not be back for a bit. And I don't know what he's going to look like when he's back. That's what we've been saying these last few weeks. Like, he's been out for a bit. Usually when you're out for a bit, like, it's hard to get ramped back up. Like, he's been out for a bit. It's starting to get worrisome. And I don't know why they didn't put him on IR. Like, they could have had more roster spots. They could have handled this differently. But things are starting to materialize. Like, this is worse than what it is. Maybe he re-injured it. I don't know. Like, he was at practice last week. He's been out there. It's just, things are coming to light right now. You're just seeing that. Everybody's wondering about the update. Maybe he's back. Maybe he comes in on a Trojan horse and he's all right and he starts blasting dudes up the gut again. Maybe it's just hearsay. Maybe it's just rumors. Maybe it's lies. Maybe it's fake news. That could be it too. But everybody's got a stash spot on their bench, and everybody already had their waiver wire ran. So now you're looking for a confirmation bias of your pickup here because Bucky Irving may be out longer than expected per Rotoballer there, which is per off of somebody else. And to speculate here, the rumors have from the Tampa Bay Bucs that they botched this, that they ruined this, they messed this up. That's what the rumors are coming out, and it's hot right now. And everybody's got Rachaad White. He's rostered in every league. And now Sean Tucker is the most trending running back right now in fantasy football. You got Darnell Mooney. You got Yoshi going into this week as speculative pickups. But Sean Tucker, Basil Tootin, your main guys emerging. Manny Wilson might get nuked by Josh Jacobs. We said that earlier this week in his unique video. Like, Josh Jacobs might nuke him again. Devin Singletary's getting touches. Everybody's looking at Sean Tucker right now. He could be your league winner. He could be the guy you gravitate to. And Sean Tucker went off last week. 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. 34 PPR fantasy points. Every game, he gets double-digit carries. He does something. He does something. Every game, he gets double-digit carries. He does a little something. You see that this year. You saw that last year. Every game where he's the man, where they allow him to cook, he cooks. Now you got a matchup on the road against the Rams. That's the question. We're going to deep dive that part too here soon. Stick with me. Keep watching. But Rachaad White has sucked balls this season. It's not a surprise. He did last year, and during his anointed season, there were some inefficiencies back in 2023, but you're seeing this. Like, after week 2, you're seeing the yards per carry here, 2.4, 2.8, 2.9, 3.82, 3.8, 2.69, 3.8, 5.1 against the Bills. Bills banged up. You can run on the Bills. They were banged up then. They were banged up against the Dolphins. Devin Achane went off, and you could do a number on them during that period because of that. But Rachaad White hasn't been getting it done. You see this in the numbers. Yards per touch, 45th among running backs, 32nd carries, and we're getting a lot of work in the passing game. True yards per carry, 3.9, 44th. 44th. That's with Bucky out, so you're depending on him, and you're getting that. Evaded tackles, 41st. You're not explosive, and that's your game. 43rd in explosive rating. Breakaway runs of 15 yards or more, 55th. He ain't breaking out. We ain't breaking out big gains. He ain't doing it. Sean Tucker's got to beat in that category. I'm going to spoil that for you. Sean Tucker got him beat in the explosive breakaway run category. Yards created, 27th. 28th. Not bad for what he is, but bad for when you got to depend on him as your man. And they tried to. They did not split it up to start things off. And you got what you got last year is a very inefficient running back between the tackles. That's what you've seen historically. Now, Sean Tucker, when everything's averaged out for the season, not so much, not so great. But also, like we've seen Rachaad White for way too long being inefficient. But breakaway runs, 3. He's tied with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White together. Juke rate, 17.2%, 41st, 30th in yards per touch, 22nd in true yards per carry, 51 carries on the season. I think the one thing you want to look at here, we're not going to get a lot of work in the passing game. We're just not going to get a lot of work in the passing game. Yards created per touch, 2.64. But this was a big-time playmaker at Syracuse. A big-time running back prospect. This was one of the top running backs in college football. One of the heavy producers in college football. Like in 2021, even 2020, we were waiting for him to come out for the draft. He was pegged as a day 2 draft pick, as a second rounder. He looked like that on the tape. Explosive, catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield, good vision, breaking off runs. And this guy just destroyed a lot of teams. Dominant. Like small schools like Notre Dame, Clemson, just anybody who went up against him got it. The Ville, everybody who went up against him got it. And one thing, too, when you're looking at production, one thing that is part of my analysis now is just looking at the game logs, looking at who they beat up, and you're looking at him. He beat up some good schools. Florida State. Now you're like, it's Florida State, but you're looking at it, it's better than Ohio, Liberty, Albany, Wagner, but we can take over games. 207 against BC. 125 against BC. That's Boston College. Sean Tucker, 4.44, 40-yard dash. Explosive on the field. And you see him as an undrafted free agent a few years ago. Why is that? Why is that? Because we have standout production metrics. We are projected to get drafted high. And then our size-adjusted athleticism is good. Everything's good. Everything looks like a solid NFL prospect here. Fell out of draft due to a heart condition. So he fell out of draft like nobody wanted to touch this kid. So he really didn't get clearance to practice in 2023 until July. And you're looking at practice reps, as that's a big thing right now for these players, as you're seeing that in the media. He didn't really get anything in the offseason with his team. It was late. It was like a big deal when he came out. And it started off with just workouts in the beginning of practice. They ramped him up. So really that 2023 season was a mulligan year. Everybody sold off on him in Dynasty, long-term fantasy football, Devy, whatever, with that and not taking into context that it was a mulligan year. He did not really have an offseason with the team, and they were just looking at him as an extra player. But even with Rachaad White there, and with him in the picture, and Rachaad White getting drafted a year prior and looking good in 2023, you're looking at a UDFA running back that's able to stick around with, at the time, at the inception of his career with the Bucs, looking solid. Athleticism, good receiving profile out of college. Bucky Irving comes in last year, solid in the 4th round. Now, he kind of got crushed in the combine. That's one of the reasons why he fell so hard. But you go back and look at that tape at Oregon. You see him split out in the slot. You see how shifty he is. You saw the vision. You saw a lot of upside with him. And he falls to the Bucs. They get lucky. They get a playmaker here. They get lucky. But he's out of the fold right now. He's out of the picture. He might be back. We got to see. But you're looking at the rushing totals here. You're looking at this for the season. 376 rushing yards on the season for Rachaad White. 3.9 yards per carry. Everybody's in the threes, but Sean Tucker, 4.6 yards per carry. Rachaad White, 37% share of the rushing attempts when he's out there, 25% share for Sean Tucker. Bucky Irving's the man. He's the man. He was expected to get the workload. He'd be getting the workload if he was still out there. But since he's been out, Rachaad White could not muster all that time with him being the guy, 300 rushing yards. Could not muster more than 3 touchdowns on the ground. 3.6 yards per carry with almost a 50% share of the rushing attempts. Sean Tucker on 50 rushing attempts has almost met him in yards. 4.7 yards per carry. Beat him on rushing touchdowns already. And just a 33% share of the carries. And most of that was from last week. Rachaad White can't take over on the ground unless it's like dead nuts, a big-time hole. He's good in the passing game. He's got to keep that role. He's got to have a Bucky next to him. Sean Tucker is a proven running back, is a big-time talent, and he had to carve and claw his way up to this moment. He had to fight his way up here. If you're looking for a guy to root for, you're looking for a late rounder, UDFA, a player that is clawing their way up, pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, it's Sean Tucker. You're looking at the opportunity share in this backfield since Bucky's been out, 17% share, but most of that share has raveled up in the last few weeks. He has led this team in rushing 3 weeks in a row. Sean Tucker has led this team in rushing 3 weeks in a row and has been looking like the better back, especially running it up between the tackles. Yards after contact per attempt, 2.41 for Sean Tucker, 2.75 for Rachaad White. Rachaad White's had more carries, 97 attempts on the season, 8 carries to 10-plus yards. 6 carries, 10-plus yards for Sean Tucker with just 51 rushing attempts. So if he's around 100, he's pushing, if you prorate that out, especially looking at all the matchups, 10 to 12-ish, maybe more, as he's tied with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White on carries of 15-plus yards, 3-3, matching them, the explosive player. Now you're looking at the run grades here. Rachaad White's grading out pretty good there at 83.8, 68.6 for Sean Tucker. But the efficiency metrics, the numbers, the production ain't saying the same. And if he's had the same amount of workload, he'd be usurping him and missed tackles and everything else. His longest run is 43 yards. Longest run for Rachaad White, 16 yards. So when he pushed past that 15-yard carry, barely. So a guy that's explosive, getting a lot of balls in the passing game, ain't getting it done really in space here in the run game. That is a concern here. And you're just looking at the work in the passing game. Rachaad White is going to get a lot. 50% route participation rate. That's the blue balls here for Sean Tucker because he's only getting 9 to 10% route participation rate. He's only running like a couple routes. He's running sympathy routes out there, honestly. He's not getting work in the passing game. So he's only going to get like sympathy targets. Unless something happens to Rachaad White, then he's going to the moon. He's getting it all. He can handle it all. He had an 8 his final year at Syracuse of 2, which means he was running routes downfield. And he was able to get over 30 catches in a season. He can handle some work in the passing game. He's explosive. He's got good vision. He can definitely do that. He won't be Bucky. He won't be that. But he can get you by. He can get a good route participation rate here. And you're looking at this. Sean Tucker's got a lot of upside. True yards per carry, he's winning it on this team. 4.27, which is great. Good. Not immaculate. It's all right. Breakaway run rate, he's killing the other running backs. He's got that long run to his game. 3 carries to 15-plus yards. He's been more efficient. He's been more dynamic with the ball in his hands, running the ball up the gut between the tackles. Yards created per touch, 2.16. Bucky Irving was playing up behind a banged-up offensive line. Remember that? The offensive line hasn't been grandiose. Sean Tucker has been making something out of it, though. But you're looking at this Rams matchup. Like I said, stick with me. So you look at the Rams matchup, it seems like a headache, and it is. It's a massive headache. But the one thing we can say about the Bucs is they can make every game into a nice game script, unless it's Spencer Rattler and he's nuking it. But you're looking at the Rams. Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry got 14. You got Christian McCaffrey again and Kenneth Walker. And outside of that, nothing but busts. Like a graveyard of running backs. That's the concern. High probability of busting. They only got one 100-yard rusher, and that's Derrick Henry. And he had 24 rushing attempts to get there. So he had to have a lot of volume. Sean Tucker getting 24 rushing attempts in this offense, that ain't happening, especially with Rachaad White getting a share of the rushing attempts. You need him to score a touchdown. So that being said, we're in the category of touchdown gamble at the running back position. So when you're looking at just a 49.5 over under, we're going to see a game script here that could go back and forth. That could be very explosive here. And if that happens, the odds for that touchdown plus whatever yards with that could at least get you to the fairway. I think there's a 50-50 shot of the fairway. I think the odds of him completely busting is solid. Is solid. They've held some good running backs in check. They held Jonathan Taylor to 14.6, which is hard to do. They held him to 14.6. Etienne, Kamara. Now you're starting to look at the context of some of these teams, like Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard. You're like, those ain't great offenses. Alvin Kamara. You're looking at Shuck. There's a chance where he can see some daylight here. I look at him, and I look at him with the rankings, with the running backs. I think Fantasy Pros is too conservative. I would have him up there. I think he's a good dart throw. I think he's a gamble. I think there's downside to him. Like, if I'm set at running back, I ain't doing it. But if you're looking at flex, and this is where you can definitely tell where they're just down on him. They're just too scared. But I have him more in that Theo Johnson, Darnell Mooney category where it's a dart throw with those players. Like, same thing with Kareem Hunt. Like, they're in good game scripts. It's whether or not they cross the goal line. He's up there. Like, like, there's a good chance, but there's also good risk. And that's where he's at. Him and Tez Johnson is a good dichotomy, but I would have him over Greg Dortch, A.J. Barner, Cooper Kupp, Tajay Spears, Noah Fant, Rachaad White or him. Rachaad White might get more in the passing game. I think that's closer to a push. I think they're down on the Bucks' backs, and that's okay. Jaden Higgins was an upside play, an upside gamble, kind of the same category as Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker's a touchdown gamble versus an upside gamble. He's able to get upside gamble, but that upside hit last week. I like Sean Tucker for a gamble. I don't like him as a for sure thing. If you're looking for more of a for sure thing, go the other way. But he's a touchdown gamble. He was kind of last week because we couldn't forecast the workload. He smashed. How can he smash this week? We break open one or two big runs and we score. There's potential for that. How can we bust this week? Rams defense. Game script does not go the way Vegas says. But the Bucks push game scripts. And if it does, if we're in the red zone, who do you think is going to run it? Tucker or Rachaad? Tucker or Rachaad? Tucker is. Tucker's going to get the red zone looks. And Bucky, for the long term, is going to be lurking behind his shoulder. That's the thing about this. But the rumor is he's going to be out longer than expected. That's something to pay attention to. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. A lot of you people out there were in the comment section last week saying no. And I was like, it's just a pickup. It's just a stash. It's if you're hurting. It's you got to put some nuts on the table somewhere. You got to be aggressive with these guys that are pulsating a little bit. Like, sometimes you can revive a player and now he's sitting on your bench. Like, if you picked him up last week, you didn't have to fight the fab this week. You didn't have to do it. You didn't have to fight the fab. Now you had to fight the fab off the waiver wire. Now you're trying to figure out whether or not to start him. And you didn't catch the blessing of the Bills banged up, and you could serve it up after that Dolphins game of what we just saw. Now you're looking at this, you're like, this is another interesting dichotomy here. Now you got a rougher matchup. And you couldn't cash in. It is a rougher matchup. Caution. But stash and not starting means he can't be used against you too. Let me know what you think in comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.